little bit behind schedule, but just by a few minutes. So you hope you grabbed your coffees, a glass of water, a pen and piece of paper, but don't worry because we are going to be registering this. So if you're missing any kind of information, and then obviously we'll be sending out to you the registration, and hopefully by then you'll be able to watch it and take the other notes that you need to take. We were actually talking this morning, actually, I think the reason, let's be honest, the reason why we're late this morning is because the panelists and myself were having way too much fun. So, and rightfully so. We were saying that it's amazing. The HR itself is the human factor. Like the human people are the resources for businesses and for life. So it is business as usual, but people first. So it has been an amazing time in every sense of the word here in the world. It's unprecedented, but we are here to help. So with CBC and all these amazing HR specialists have your back. Again, special thanks to our panelists. Here is the quick poll if you want to take the quick poll. It's just very simple. You panelists, you can take it as well. We want to see how you're doing. And it's just very simple. It just helps to direct a little bit the answers and questions. You can put your questions in the chat at any time, and if we have time in between the conversation, we'll be more than happy to go ahead and make sure that they get answered, or they'll be answered in the Q&A at the end. So I have the pleasure, and you can see actually, Eric, if you want to take off your mic for a second and then say hello. So we have Eric Coleman, who is going to be our moderator today, and rightfully so. Eric has been here over 15 years and 17 in the region, and 2 in Saudi Arabia. And he is many of you maybe have already had the pleasure of meeting him. He has been on the CBC board for over 10 years, and also is in the commercial sector and in H&R. He's also been 10 years in the last, 5 years started with Al Futin. Sorry if I got some of the numbers mixed up. And from Montreal, yay, okay, and McGill University. I'm going to get off my shoebox, and my speeches are over for the moment. I will be in the background and make sure I'm moderating. But Eric, may I ask the pleasure of you introducing our lovely panelists for today?
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much for that, Diane. Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well today. We'll see the results of the poll, how that comes together. So very excited to have Aysha and Barbara with us this morning. Aysha Sulaiman is the Group Director, HR and Development for Ras Al Khaimah Economic Zone. She has more than 12 years of experience in HR, and she holds a master's degree from in Global Human Resources Management from Liverpool in the UK. She's also a certified compensation and benefits manager, and she was Government HR Leader of the Year in 2017 and an HR Professional of the Year for the public sector in 2016. So welcome, Aysha. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's my pleasure to be part of the webinar today and really exchange my experience with the participants here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Fantastic, fantastic. Good to have you. Diane, do you want to share the results of the poll before we get to Barbara?
Sorry about that. Sorry, it's the mute buttons that are always getting in the way here, okay? Yes, the poll results. I'm actually very, very happy. These are the 2 typical questions that we ask usually in the beginning of most of our webinars, that people are doing better. We have 50% of us are doing excellent, good, and could do better, 8%. And we all could do better, but it's happy to see that there's a surge of positivity going this direction. And we have Canadians and the non-Canadians. We have a 23% to 70%, but that makes us true Canadians because we are such a mix and match. It's something like being in the Emirates. I love the mix. So, Eric, when we were on earlier, we had an amazing time. Us girls were out just chatting away, and we were saying how HR specialists are like the human resources. It's the human quality in businesses. It's people first, and sometimes very under noticed. They're like the unsung heroes. They're balancing both sides. So I'm going to let you get towards the questions, and I want to thank you for human resources because you do help direct us in the right direction. And even in these unprecedented times, I'm sure your models of judging or how to do it had some quite turns. So Eric, it's up to you.
Great, great, excellent, excellent. So let me introduce Barbara Biwott. So Barbara is a multifaceted HR and talent professional. She's CIPD certified. She comes from Vancouver, BC, so always great to have a Canadian flavor in the mix. And she has a master's degree in human resources management from Middlesex University in Dubai. So welcome to the panel, Barbara. Would you like to say a couple of words to complete that?
Thank you very much, Eric, Diana, and the team. It's a pleasure. And to meet Aysha as well. HR is always a learning curve. So other than being able to participate here today, I'm really looking forward to learning as well. So thank you very much for having me.
Excellent, excellent. As you said, Diana, HR is always the hot topic for any organization, especially these days. A lot of questions when there's a crisis. It's always people first, and what's going to happen with my job? What's going to happen with my salary? What's going to happen about working home? What's going to happen about engagement? So I'm really looking forward to getting some insight and to for everybody to use this as an opportunity to benchmark. You're probably taking notes about what your own organization is doing. So I think it's a great opportunity to find out what some leaders in the industry here in the UAE are putting in place to deal with this crisis. So so I think that's going to be a great session. Apologies, when I came on this morning, I noticed there was a message from Zoom that you had to upgrade to 5.0. So maybe a lot of people had some technical difficulties this morning. So that's that was a surprise for a lot. I think as of May 30th, they had these new method restrictions. Exactly. So maybe some people were having technical problems. So apologies for that. Shall we get started?
Yes, that's great. Yes, yeah. But if that's the only problem you have today is getting on Zoom, you can sign a contract, okay, Eric?
And hopefully by the end of the session, we'll get those people that are feeling just good to feeling great. So that will be a bit of a challenge for us today.
Yeah, well, so far so good with these human smiling faces telling us things, and they're going to explain things. I think we're good to go. I think you have some questions for Aysha already to break up the information, like questions that not on the chat, but are the question, the paper that Heba gave you.
Exactly. So just for everybody listening, we're going to ask a series of questions to our panelists. But if you have any questions, you can share them through the chat box or the Q&A box. So feel free to let us know what you're thinking out there. If there's any questions you have for our panelists or for the HR industry in general, and we'll get to them before the end of the session. So we're still planning to finish at 12 o'clock today. So Aysha, let's start with you. So maybe you can let us know how is Rekhez dealing with the anxiety that's created because of this pandemic, because obviously there's a lot of questions, and when there's a lot of questions, there's always a lot of anxieties on people's minds. So how did you deal with that specifically from an HR perspective?
So I think the main part of controlling this feeling is the communication. We are really making sure that we are being transparent and having a constant communications going to these employees time to time. We are really making ourselves available for the changes surrounded us. We are being very flexible in changing some of the policies, being very responsive being proactive, not reactive to the things which are going around us. So we are making a lot of changes in our policies, our requirements, the checklists, the things which makes the ease of business really easy to do for the staff as well as for the clients. We are making sure that the things we are trying to make, or the changes we are trying to make, we are communicating it way advanced to the staff. So you will see a lot of emails goes in every 2 days, 3 days in the weeks. If you see by end of the week, there are a series of emails going to the employees in terms of the hygiene, the precautions they have to make, the changes they need to do, how to work remotely. We are making a lot of trainings available online for the staff, where they can spend some time, go away from the normal working pattern to go do and learn new things while they are at home. We are also encouraging the employees and even the managers to have these team buildings, virtual team buildings activities with their employees, so they really feel comfortable and they feel the sense of having that work at office, so they don't miss the office spirit. Also, we are trying to really be in touch with the trusted news and trusted platforms for the news, where we can announce also the things are going outside the rack, is what are the information the employees needs to know about the lockdown, or all these kind of information. We are making the staff really aware of these kind of things. Lastly, we did also, we made one of our employees in HR available 24/7 as a hotline for the staff. If they need to ask questions or share any kind of experience, they can really do that and call anytime in HR and exchange emails, and we can give them any kind of advice which can help them. So these things are ongoing. There's no specific pattern we are following. We are being very agile because things are keep on changing. Whatever we think that it's really best for the employees to implement, we are adopting that immediately.
Fantastic, fantastic. I love the way that you say communication is the key, because yes, people need to be told. Sometimes it's not always good news, but it's important that they hear about it. There's nothing worse to create more anxiety than to not know. So sometimes we don't have any news, and that's okay too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So managing that process is very important.
So once you don't have a news, you just remind them on the things you have sent them, and the hygiene, precautions, social distancing. So they feel that what is happening around them is really normal. Nothing, it's really something they need to scare of.
That's right. That's right. Fantastic. So I just noticed that we have Zuhair with us. Good morning, Zuhair. Sabah al-khair. Can you hear us, Zuhair? Hello, Zuhair. Can you, I'd like to introduce you, Zuhair. So could you, yes, just unmute yourself for a second. All right, we'll come back. We'll come back to Zuhair in a second. So, let me just introduce, I'll introduce Zuhair in a second. And Barbara, I think we'll go to you, and I have, oh, there's Zuhair. So I'd like to just introduce Zuhair because he's also our third panelist. I know Zuhair very well because we've worked together for 5 years at Al-Futtaim. So I'm really excited to have you with us, Zuhair, this morning, and to share your insight.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Zuhair.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Hear them.
Salam alaikum, Zuhair.
No, I cannot hear anybody. Anybody hears me?
Yes, yes, we
Well,
can hear.
Yeah, they can hear me. Yeah, but I cannot hear you.
Okay. Diana, do you want to have a check on that with
I'll
Heba?
I'll take a peek on that. Okay.
Great. So let me just, for everybody listening, I'll just introduce Zuhair. So Zuhair has 15 years of experience with the Al-Futtaim Group as Director of HR and Localization. I've had the pleasure to work with him for 5 years, and he's just a fantastic leader, an amazing human being, and I'm really, really very happy to have him with us today. Also has 8 years with Halliburton as Senior HR Manager, and he's an alumni from Cape Breton University in Halifax. So love that Canadian connection as well, Zuhair. So glad to have you aboard. Would you like to say a couple of words just to say hello to everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Sorry for the delay today. I'm in the middle of Musaffah over here, Musaffah area, so it's all industrial area, and we have issues with the connections and all these things. So please accept my apology for this.
ما في مشكلة. Alhamdulillah. I had the same problem with the connection. Zoom is upgrading to 5.0. I'm sure a lot of people are having problems with that this morning. So welcome aboard. Zuhair, I'll come to you in a second. So we've just started, we've just introduced our panelists, and we're just starting our round of questions. So I'll come to you in a second.
Sure.
I'll go to Barbara. So question for you, Barbara. We'd like to know, what measures have you and your company taken to ensure the health and safety of people when they return to the office? Because that's also on everybody's mind. Is it safe to go back to work? What should they expect?
Thank you very much. Actually, I am in so much agreement with what Aysha's organization are doing. We're doing the same thing. What happened was the first period before we could let the employees resume back to work, past processes just followed what the UAE is recommending, and the Ministry of Health and the health organizations, because as it is, COVID is not something that is like known from before. So at the moment, what we are doing is we are making sure that the employees get their temperature checks. We communicate to the employees every step of the way while they were still working from home. We inform them, and others inform us if they can work. They can come out and work from office, or so it's case by case, because also we have to make consideration of people with children or pregnant women. So we have to make all those considerations, because the health of the employee determines their performance. So if an employee is uncomfortable and forced or feeling forced to come to a workplace, then their productivity will just drop down, and it will be a complete waste. So communication, that has been the channel. And then health checks. So the employees, if they're capable to go to hospitals and have their own checkups covered under the medical insurance, that would be really great, because again, you know your body best. And if you have signs or symptoms, or feel like you've been in contact with somebody who's unfortunate, then you can save the rest by doing such things. So health checks, temperature checks at the door, but also the communication, the fact that someone talks makes a big difference, because I might have okay temperature, but I don't feel right. So the communication has always been the channel between us. Spacing, we've had to do that as well. So we've done rotation work. People who are in the same team are able to take rotation. So 1 week, one person is on, the next week, the other person, but it's all about teamwork. So they have to talk and communicate between each other, share the channels that they prefer to their leads, and then it reaches the HR for communication. So it's all about teamwork, and it's somehow it's a sad thing that the COVID happened, but it's an advantage, because now we're able to establish better communication between the teams across horizontally, not just vertically, where it's from the managers to the employees or the other way. So some of the measures are those, and it's all about communication every single day.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's very important to make people feel safe. I mean, there's nothing worse than coming to work and not feeling safe in order for employees to be productive. So those changes are necessary. That's great, Barbara. Thank you very much. I'd like to now move to Zuhair. So Zuhair, I have a question for you. Barbara and Aysha were both talking about working from home. So obviously, we all know that it's been what we can call the greatest experiment ever about working from home in the last 2-3 months. So how has the Emirates Business Group dealt with that experiment? How would you qualify were some of the results and the outcomes of this work from home experience, and how have you guys or how have you at the Emirates Business Group dealt with that?
Well, the thing, the working from home, it was, I mean, this topic has been under discussion for the past almost 2 years by the Minister of Human Resources, where they have encouraged a lot of due to nationalization efforts, they have pushed for people to work from home and so on and so forth. So during 2018, and 2019 as well, prior to the COVID issues, a lot of companies have taken the transformation as a methodology to actually trim the extra fats in the companies, and therefore the remaining staff were the core people that they can actually do the business. So from an Emirates business group perspective, in the Middle East we are due to the private sector and the hectic work environment, a lot of business people owners they still believe that they need the person to come in the morning and log his attendance and this and works from 8 to 5, and he needs to be in his office sometime all the time, and sometimes they have like TVs to monitor the staff whether they are actually working or not. So all this is happening in some of the companies. So the idea was there. However, from Emirates Business Group, I think the implementation were very smoothly. At the beginning, we were resistant whether we let people go or not, but after then we have decided, based on the Minister of Human Resources request, then we have decided to let 30 people or 30% of the people work from the office, and 70 people to go to work from home. And frankly speaking, the first week we have tried this, it has worked really well. In fact, we were very busy, working from home. There have been a lot of projects, and we have done a lot of meetings through online. So it has been quite quite interesting to be actually working from home and seeing your colleague 24 hours. So I can see that this is where the future is going right now, and I think it will continue. I know that there are a lot of companies who have already announced that they will be working from home until end of December, whether the government changes their working hours model or not. And some other, I know another company called in Canada, I forgot the name, and they have announced that from now on they're gonna work only from home. So there is they are not going back to the old style.
I think it was Google. Google said that they were giving everybody the option of working from home.
Yes, yeah. It's I think it's quite an interesting experience. However, I think for me as an employee, I really miss the time that I wake up in the morning, I wear my kandora and yaqal, and get my coffee and go to the office. This is something really nice, that we don't want to miss in our career. So yes, we do accept working from home 30%, or 50-50. I think it's but the good thing, there are a lot of advantages as well from working from home. Today, me as a human resources director, I don't need to. I can hire people from internationally. I can ask people from Southeast Asia, from Europe to work for my company based from their point of origin. So that's a plus for me as well.
Do you think, and this might be a question for the other panelists as well, but do you think that this will change the way that people work here in the UAE? I heard numbers to the fact that 70% of people cannot actually work from home because of their jobs. So do you think it's gonna change the way that people work? Another commercial manager was telling me that he wouldn't hesitate to hire somebody from Ras Al Khaimah to work from Abu Dhabi, and maybe he could work from home in Ras Al Khaimah. So he thinks that might give more flexibility to companies to hire people from other regions if they don't have to commute. Do you think that will change?
I think
yeah.
sorry,
Please go
sorry.
ahead,
No, no.
Aisha.
Thank you,
No,
Zuhair. So I think
yeah. Go please.
I think it's creating or it's giving us some kind of insights in HR to be flexible in our policies. So I think some of the recruitment policies will change, where we'll give an option for the staff where they can work from home. Some of the positions, it will help them to work from home. As you mentioned that one of the challenges for Ras Al Khaimah was to hire people from Abu Dhabi or Dubai because of the commuting, or even we will be losing people after sometimes because they are tired from commuting every day from different Emirates. So giving that option to them to work from their own home or Emirates, that will help to really have people on board, but working from different locations. But you can have them time to time coming for meetings or on gatherings to just have face-to-face interaction. So yes, it is giving some kind of resilience changes to the policies of HR.
Absolutely, absolutely. How about you, Barbara? Did you are you also?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. A lot of, but it also varies because there are some. For example, I'm in the oil and gas industry, so there are some disciplines that are capable to work from home, and there are others that cannot. So the ones that cannot, then you would have to then adopt a lot of systems, softwares, maybe develop an in-house program where the engineers or the designers can be able to work on data simultaneously, whereas before they would sit across from each other and have a discussion. However, there are some disciplines that would be very easy, and we've realized that since March until now, that they're even more productive. I have no idea how that has happened, but there seems to be more work and productivity seems to have gone higher. The employees seem to be comfortable working from home and meeting targets. They seem to even set their own targets themselves by the end of the day. And it does, yes, help kind of cut down some excess fat, as Mr. Zuhair has mentioned, in the organizational savings, in expenses, because it's, as HR business partners, we have to work with the other disciplines like business development and the accounts and finance so that we can cut down costs. And it does actually have an effect towards some of those areas.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Zuhair, go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think one of the major challenges we have here in UAE is that you have 80% of the businesses are controlled by private business, by private sector, and many of I won't say 50% of the population here, they almost live in bachelor accommodation in groups as well. So they don't have the comfort of actually they have their own apartment and this sort of things, so they live four in one bay, in one room or so on. So having the facility, and some of them they work in shifts as well, sometimes. So you have your roommate, for example, sleeping, and at the same time you are working as well. So this is creating some sort of challenges as well. Or some of the expats with small income, they would go like for one bedroom apartment where he will have like him, his spouse, and maybe another 2-3 children as well in one bedroom apartment. So for him actually to dedicate the time and to be in quiet place, it's also a big problem for him or her. So these things has to change a little bit. But as I told you, I remember when I used to work in Al Futtaim, for example, I used to have some of Emirati colleagues or expats, they coming all the way from Ras Al Khaimah in the morning, crossing Ajman, Sharjah, and then reaching Dubai. This is almost 1.5 hour drive in the morning and another 2 hours drive afternoon. So 3.5 hours mentally they are disconnected, from actually doing a good job. So can you imagine, you tell this individual, you need to come only maybe once to the office every week or twice and 3 days you can work from home. This is a great idea. Yeah.
I think HR can take a page from Albert Einstein when he said, in the middle of every crisis lies opportunity.
Yes.
So I think as HR practitioners, we're all finding that, oh, maybe this is an opportunity to get people more productive, as you said, Zuhair, you know, cut down on that travel time. It's not always easy, Aysha, to go to Ras Al Khaimah, right? So, you know, maybe there's a way of helping each other out there. Diana, I'm going to go to the questions because we have about 20-25 minutes left. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, we do have a slight presentation though first from Barbara. So if we want to do that first quickly, would you like to do that before the Q&A?
Shall we go to the Q&A first? Just because
Sure.
I'm afraid I don't want to
Overdone. Sure, that's great.
So
okay, go ahead.
I'm going to start with Zuhair. You're going to recognize this name, Colin Gao.
Yes.
So Colin Gao has a question for us. He says hello, by the way. And he says that Oxford Economics survey argued that up to 12% of the expat UAE workforce may leave shortly. So how are companies planning to cope with this? Is this something that you've had a look at Emirates Business Group and for the other panelists as well?
I think, you know, there are a lot of expats who have that will actually decide to leave UAE. However, there are a lot of people who we expect to come from Europe and from Southeast Asia as well. The Minister of Human Resources have implemented a new role where right now they are calling all the companies, okay? And if you have individuals or staff that you are trying to lay off, they request the names of these individuals or these employees, and they are assisting us in finding them jobs for other companies. So this is to reduce the number of employment visas that's coming to UAE. I think there will be restructuring on the blue collar, where they are going to be coming to UAE on short-term visas until the project is completed, especially for construction companies and engineering companies and so on and so forth. But I think, yani, 12% of the labor force to leave UAE, I think that's almost a right fit. To ensure that, I mean, and especially that we have now a lot of technology and support, and this is releasing the need of hiring a lot of administrative staff as well. So I think it's good trimming. It's very natural trimming, just like somebody who's fat and he loses weight, then it's good for his health. So this is where the companies are going, Yani.
Yes, it's a natural process. Aysha, thank you very much for that answer, Zuhair. Aysha, would you like to comment from Rakesh?
I think this will help the organization to really look at the restructuring of the structure and the responsibilities and the required positions in the organization. To look at, is that if there are workforce who are leaving the organization, is that was needed in the first space, especially now with the reorganization and restructuring all the departments based on the current situation. There are many positions I don't think they will be required at this stage because of the budget cuts, because of a lot of changes are going on, and there is uncertainty of the period, how long these things will take place. So I think it's a good opportunity. Yes, it's that we'll be losing a good caliber, but at the same time, organizations need to utilize the situation where they need to reevaluate the need of these positions in the organization, restructure, and start to club positions and give the opportunity to the internal staff to be promoted to take over these responsibility internally before they go outside and really think about hiring new people from outside. So I think it's a good opportunity. We need to look at it internally.
Like for example, I just finished one meeting for one of the companies that belong to Emirates Business Group, and we are discussing, like we have like several projects, and in each of these projects we have different engineers that they work in these projects. So we said, okay, how about if we create some sort of shared services engineer, you know? Why do we need a dedicated engineer or two or three for each project? You know, why can't we just club them under under one umbrella, and they can all provide services for all these these projects that we have.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't manage what we can't count. So at least this crisis is giving us a lot of data to make good HR decisions. So, Barbara, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the two professionals actually, and it is all about corporate structure. So you have to go back to your strategies and review, like as Aisha mentioned, is then were those positions already redundant prior to this situation happening, and what would you do differently? Like you would have to then change a lot. You'd have to do gapping so that you can be able to identify where you had gaps, even where you currently have gaps that are opening up, and what you can then improve and make sure that if anything similar to that happened, inshallah not, but then you would be more prepared, you would be more aware so that you don't repeat the mistake. Because a mistake once is a mistake, but when you repeat it, then it means you didn't learn the first time. Then you have to make changes on your strategies all across the board, your corporate strategies, your HR strategies, business strategies, all of them have to align. Then you can find the gaps. You then have to also right now realize that you have to do succession planning, because that is one of the biggest problems. You realize that somebody leaves and you're thinking, what do I do? What was he doing? Can someone else do it? You know, and people then now have to learn how to do in each organization, like we have to also as well learn to do succession planning from top down. Before we didn't do succession planning for the top management because for various reasons, but now you have to open up your eyes in order for the sustainability of the organization. You have to plan it. It's now an essential. It's not something that you can take for granted.
Absolutely. Our HR strategies have to be really clear given the uncertainty. So that's for sure. So we have about 5 or 6 questions. So I might just throw out the questions, and I'll just ask one panelist to answer, and then maybe hopefully we can get through all of the questions. We have about 15 minutes left. So Jason Freeborn has a question. Has working from home made your cloud-based HR system more or less important to you? So would one of our panelists be able to answer that question?
So, we just recently implemented the success factors in HR trackers. And I think since we have the system in place, the employees are having an ease of using it, more flexibility in a flexible mood while they are at home. So they can still be in touch with us through these systems. There are other systems we are implementing also in terms of the attendance and everything. So I don't think these systems are going less. We're still receiving requests of letters, everything on time, and we are delivering it on time as well to the staff. So I don't think it's making the important piece during this time.
Okay, great. I have a question from Sharif. So I think Zuhair might have touched a bit on this. So he's asking, what type of jobs can permanently be executed remotely in your own organization? So what type of jobs? Are they management jobs? Are they staff jobs?
I think across all the departments that we can implement remote working, you know, whether it's administration. Today we have the CEO working from home, we have the owner working from home, you have the finance head working from home, some of the engineers they're also working from home. So I think remote working can be implemented easily if you have the good technology that can support you as well, you know.
Do you think, Zuhair, as a leader, as a team leader, do you think that makes it more difficult to work from home or easier?
No, I think it's easier. As I told you, I mean, we have been working from home, or we have implemented this as a practice since the past almost 3 months now, and it's going well. We have nobody has even complained that okay, the working is not going smoothly or whatever. I think it's a good idea, and the people are working on comfort as well. It's not only productive. They think, and they ensure that they utilize their the needed hours to effective working.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like we said, I mean, just saving on travel time makes people
Yeah,
more productive.
yeah.
When they're more productive, they're more happy. And you tend to work longer hours from home. I just speak by personal experience, and you tend to put in a lot of time at home. It's very surprising. Okay, so we have another question from Raj. How will workforce adapt? How will your workforce adapt to the changes brought on by COVID-19, and how is this impacting the morale and the well-being of employees? How about Barbara? Would you like to answer that question?
Well, right now, actually, as the most important thing as we've established right now is communication. Because with the communication, you will be aware of each and every employees, or majority. There are some employees who don't quite talk, but there are others who, most of them will be able to voice out their situations. So with the voices from the employees, you will be able to identify what is the problem, what they're facing, what they like, how it's going, and their supervisors or managers, or if they're working individually, by the end of their weekly report or monthly report, by now each person knows their team and how this is working out. Is it working out psychologically well for them? You will be able to observe that, because observation of employee is something that we've been doing the whole year. It's not just since now that they've started working from home. So even, for example, people who do business development, they're not seated down in one place at one time. So they are working remotely. And sometimes some people are even on, let's say, sick leave, and they're working remotely. So with such situations, and this COVID having happened, it's just opened up more for the HR to learn more about the employees, to talk more, and with that you'll be able to understand the well-being, psychologically, physically, emotionally, how they are doing and what can be done to improve. So I think in a way it's kind of good.
Fantastic. As we said, it's another touch point opportunity for HR people. It's another opportunity to get closer to our staff. So we should take that. We should take that with a lot of optimism. Okay, great. Great question. Industry question from Nick. Do you believe there will be a positive or negative impact on the economy if more people are working from home? What's going to happen with all this commercial office space? These space locations. How is that going to affect the economy?
I think two years back, I have attended the conference through the Ministry of Human Resources, and at that time they said that 65% of the jobs that's going to be carried by the new generations are unknown until now. So we most of the in terms of saving. A lot of, I think there will be increase in small businesses more than the corporate environments. Big companies, they are going to reduce massively. And in terms of space, I think we're gonna instead of using big spaces, I think we're gonna save a lot on these spaces. And I'm sure that the economy will definitely, from my perspective, I think the economy will boom and life will be much better. And however, it's God's will on earth. Sometimes when He sees people going in the indirect direction, then He takes them back to the right direction. So this is the correction that's happening on earth, And I think the life will definitely be better another six months from now on. And you know, at least there will be some people will have the guts to actually open their small businesses and all this, instead of being employed by the company.
Absolutely. I think it's going to create a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know, given that people can work from home. And maybe companies will put more money into salaries if they don't have to pay for these big office spaces and rent. So maybe there's an opportunity there as well. So if people have to pay for their own home office, they should be compensated. Fantastic. So another ex-colleague, Zuhair Anabav, remember Anabav?
Yes, I know.
Al-Futtaim, who's joining. So his question is, how do you think employment contracts, term, comps, and ban will be impacted if multiple legal frameworks apply if hiring remote workforce from their country of residence? Aysha or Zuhair?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I think even if they are being hired from their home countries, HRIT needs to put a lot of efforts in understanding the labor law and the policies of these countries before drafting a contract. I think while the employees are working from their home countries, the application of our rule will not be applied on them. We have, to be honest, we have cases. Currently, we have offices in Germany and India, and the employees who are working in Germany and India offices are on the contract of Germany and India, and the policies which are implemented on them is on their home country, and it's very difficult for us to apply UAE rules on them. So each country we need to really study their own rules. We have to hire sometimes legal firms to help us to drafting the contract. And we have to, and it is in both languages, and their language and English as well. So it's more, it gives the comfort to the employee also to sign this contract, and also a full understanding of what's expected from the legal perspective from them. So we have to follow the country's policies on that perspective.
Well, a great follow-up question on that comes from Dr. John Matthew in Bahrain. So another ex-Al-Futtaim employee. Hello, John. So John wants to know what is the recruitment sector going, how is the recruitment sector going to be affected? Do you see a decline in overseas recruitment for the next 2 years due to the fear factor of flying, for example? Perhaps Barbara, Zuhair?
Yeah, I believe the recruitment will definitely change, and it's already changing. So it means that we have to revise our strategies. Because also there's a lot of restrictions on if an employee exits the country, whether they will be able to come back on time. So yeah, we have to change a lot of recruitment strategies. Also because now each company or each sector is now demanding different types of personnel with different skill sets. Because before, an employee would be able to go and work in a particular organization and adopt their working tools and things like those. But right now, everything has changed. So a company who is recruiting, or if we're recruiting in a particular, we then have to change also the expectations. They have to have qualifications in this, they have to have skills and knowledge in this. So right now, the learning aspect is where we have to encourage the employees. We have to encourage them to also do online learning at home while they are free, because with the online you have to improve yourself, otherwise you find yourself redundant. Someone else will come on board from university with the new changes that have happened, and you'll be left out without knowing what's the new technology that's taking place. So the encouragement right now is, because the recruitment is changing, it means the whole aspect is changing. The recruitment part is the source of everything in HR. The right person to do the right job with the right skills at the right time. So these are the factors that we have to look at in order to be able to put the right person there. So recruitment will change, HR has to adopt and help the personnel to also change as well.
Well, as a learning and development professional, I can certainly relate to the virtual training opportunities that this is creating to keep people engaged. So definitely support that answer. So we have, I'm gonna take two questions because they're very similar. So Mais Al-Kayal and Priscilla Kambada. So remember Priscilla Zuhair, another Al-Futtaim colleague. They both want to know, how will this working from home impact the culture of an organization? Team bonding for productivity, commitment, loyalty. How do we keep people engaged when they're working from home that way? So thank you for that question. Zuhair, would you like to answer?
Now, in terms of, I think the until now we are under experience model right now. We need to learn from how we're going to engage our staff. But as I said, I think I don't agree with the full working from home practice. I think it needs to be 50-50 or 30-70 as much as possible. And with this succession plan, I think that many of the companies, they are working into succession plan and enhancing their current staff as well, instead of actually hiring new people. I think this is also going to play a major factor in engaging the staff as well. I think a lot of companies, they have core team that they can actually maintain and their sustainability in the company by enhancing their development and fixing their pay, for example, and this sort of things. And this is the engagement factor that they are going to work with. Yani. I think there will be less people in companies, and I don't know if we are going to continue with having some physical activities, for example, or gatherings as we used to have before. But I mean, this is yet to be learned within this coming 1 year, for example.
Absolutely, it's learn as we go. So we had an anonymous attendee who was asking about how will this affect training programs. I mean, I'm a training professionals, and we're finding that virtual training is actually another way to reach out to employees and to get them engaged through training programs. So I think more and more people are enjoying that. So it's just another tool that we have as HR professionals to reach out to our staff members. So so that's very positive as well. We've covered all the questions, so I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed.
Yes, I am too, Eric, and everyone.
I was going to ask you to resume or to close it up and
actually, I'm going to first of all thank all our panelists. Obviously, we have our British Business Council that has sponsored us together to run this event. Obviously, Zuhair, Aysha, Barbara. I'm going to actually ask Barbara because I believe two of our panelists, and I think Aysha has to take off to her next meeting. But I was hoping, Barbara, you might leave us with that quick visual to keep us on track if you feel that's correct. You okay? And Eric, thank you, because knowing all the ins and outs, it was amazing because I got to sit back and it was directed in the right direction. So I do appreciate all of you. If there's any other questions, we'll be more than happy to, when we send out our links afterwards, our follow-up on the video and everything, you can get the right connections to each other. And we are here just to help and support you anyway. Zuhair or Aysha, being that you are probably the two people that have to take off quickly, is there some closing comment you'd like to say or anything at all other than thank you? Well, thank you from us before I let Barbara take the chair.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it was not only sharing my experience with the participant. I think I learned new things also from everyone, how they are doing that in their own organization. And it's now we are shifting from working remotely to reopening mode. So we need to know what are the tips and everything. We are really benchmarking how the people are reopening their offices and encouraging the staff to come back. So we are really working on that as well. So hopefully we'll be having these tips and maybe some of the subjects for the next webinars. You can have these kind of discussion on that.
Yeah, we would love to have you back in maybe in a couple of months when we can get the ball rolling and we'll see which direction it is, because that would be amazing, by the way,
Yes.
because we share our tricks and tricks, and maybe there'll be somebody else sharing yours. And Zuhair, was there something you wished to say?
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. It's my pleasure. It has been almost 1.5 years that I have been away from such webinars. Yani. All what I can say right now is that we need to be very, very optimistic. The future is hopefully bright. There are a lot of things, good things coming to the world. There will be good opportunities. There will be a lot of investments. يعني during the coming 1 year, the whole, I think during the past 2 years or 3 years, I think the HR, the human resources as an HR model يعني have faced a lot of challenges with the centralization, decentralization, technology, non-technology, whether recruitment, online recruitment or non-online recruitment. So the entire model is changing for human resources right now. I think there will be less people working in human resources, and those people who are really into engagement, learning and development, succession, they are going to grow, inshallah ta'ala.
Fantastic. I like the fact that the future is bright. I always look at it as a lovely book where you still can write the pages and color in them if you want to make you. So I'm really, like you said, we don't know what jobs are out there. We don't know the future jobs yet. So, but we can prepare ourselves for that directly.
Sure.
All right. Aysha and Zuhair, if you need to take off to your next meeting, go ahead. I think Barbara's going to share her slides quickly, and then I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, as well.
Okay.
Masalam, shukran. Okay.
Barbara, can you see, you want to share away? You go for it.
All right. I have a host disabled screen. Share with everybody some of the. Don't know if you can all see. Is it full screen now?
It's perfect.
All right,
Perfect,
great. So some of these strategies that we have been taking at the moment right now, I did a bit of research for the International Labour Organization, and they have come up with the 4 main pillars, which most of the organization, as I realize, Zuhair's company and Aysha's company and a few other companies have adopted. And I'll just quickly read the top one, which is the first pillar, is stimulation of the economy and the employment, because that is where it's really affecting. And the labor market moves because of the people, right? And the second one is the supporting enterprises and economy as an income, because it's money moves back and forth. So we have to look at all those aspects, protecting workers in the workplace, which is now the hot topic right now, which is going back to work. Is it safe for me to go back to work? And then relying on the social dialogue solutions. So communication, it is everything at the moment. So the approach that we have taken is the change approach, which is the biggest challenge at the moment is change. Change it's difficult for some people and easy for some people, but majority of us human beings find change difficult. HR are change managers, so we have to look at a lot of things like the change in the labor law, the change of you have to develop a contingency plan to cover the current situation and the future, which is again an assumption that we make. Changes in land of operations, various countries like in Canada or in the US or anywhere in the world. So the HR have to keep learning day and night in order to be able to cover that. Unemployment and changing of remunerations of employees. So we have to look at such things because a lot of people have been affected by such issues, and each country has different things. So again, we have to go back to the drawing board of doing your SWOT, sitting down with the rest of the team to be able to do all those, realizing your strengths, after losing employees or before losing the employees. So you have to look at the strengths, you have to look at your weaknesses, the opportunities, as Zuhair says, is a brighter side ahead. So you have to look at all those things and go back to the drawing board again, actually. So by March, most companies had sat down and worked out how to do that, yeah? Another quick one is the recruitment strategy, which I find it to be the main thing right now. Is recruitment has changed. It will change, and we have to look at all that. I adopted this one from the Australian Public Service Commission, because they have a very lovely model that covers the recruitment strategies. So you have to realign again everything. You have to go back to recruitment, what the current market wants, what the people want, what the companies want, which industries might become obsolete, which industries might mushroom, which new talents will come up and new jobs. So some of the things that we will look at as well is our recruitment strategy. We will look at definitely remote working. Google and Facebook have said 100% you can stay home and work from home. Some industries, that's not possible. Partially my industry is not possible. Partially also, as Zuhair mentioned, the challenges that the employees face. So we have to look at all the pros and cons of that. Last is relocation. Some companies might shut down and actually go back to where they came from originally. So, or employees might go back and work remotely from their countries of origin. So this was some of the brief, I made it really quick so that we can be able to share, yeah, so it can be shared out to everybody and people can amend it and adjust it.
Fantastic.
Right.
I think we'll let Diana share that with the rest of the participants, but that's a great presentation. Thank you very much for that insight, Barbara.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if we had to cut it short. We just
No. We have
Yeah.
to yes.
a lot of questions, and it's
But-
great to get everybody involved. And thank you to all the
Yes.
audience members who sent us questions. That was really very insightful.
Thank you, and thank you so much for all of you attending. Your questions do make what makes these webinars so rich, and thank you so much for moderating, Eric. This was absolutely amazing. It does give everyone the right direction. And Barbara, I love the summary. It kind of tidied everything up into a nutshell afterwards. We will putting the video out, and the slide presentations will go out to everyone. They will have it all. But basically want to wish you all the best. And we here at CBC, we do have your back, people first. And that is exactly what HR specialists do. They think about people first and how to balance the rest. So, you know, it's not as easy as it looks. So you are carrying both sides of the coin, the employees per se and the business aspect. So thank you for making us much more richer in every sense of the word. And I'm looking forward to having you all back very soon. Take good care of yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.